Ohio's primary election day for the state is now over. The polls have now been closed for several hours, although results are still coming in. We were watching some of the big races tonight. Local issues also on the ballot. Dayton 24/7 now is your election headquarters, covering everything you need to know tonight. And we have a team of reporters, not just here in the Miami Valley, but really across the Buckeye State as well, to bring you all angles of tonight's elections. We want to begin with Isabel Hanson, who is covering that big U.S. Senate race from Cleveland. Isabel, I hear we have a winner.
With his wife and family on stage, Bernie Moreno called this a family venture. He says he's doing this for his kids and grandkids and your kids and grandkids. Right after the AP called the race for Moreno, the crowd started cheering, chanting his name, and waving his campaign signs. They say they're thrilled about this outcome. Moreno shared that he spoke with former President Trump minutes before his acceptance speech. Trump endorsed Moreno and held a rally to call on voters to support him in Dayton just last Saturday. Moreno says he wears Trump's endorsement with honor. Voters continue to tell us Trump's endorsement carries weight for them. Now Moreno's supporters say it's time to keep pushing and beat Senator Sherrod Brown in November. And Moreno stressed that also tonight.
Understand we have one mission, which is to get rid of Sherrod Brown. And by getting rid of Sherrod Brown, we're going to get back to the United States Senate. And then by getting back to the United States Senate, we're going to put this country back on track.
Moreno also shared his vision for the future after the November election. He says he and Trump will be in office. Moreno also told supporters there will be a safe and secure border. He says he's fighting for the future of this nation. Reporting in Westlake, I'm Isabel Hanson.
Isabel, thank you. And in just the last half hour, I know we heard from Moreno himself moments ago, but he issued a statement on his win tonight saying, quote, "I am so grateful for the resounding support of Ohioans in all 88 counties. I thank Matt Dolan and Frank LaRose for a spirited primary contest. I look forward to uniting our party and working to send Senator Sherrod Brown packing in November." Now, we are joined now live in studio with political expert Dr. Lee Hanna from Wright State University. We've been talking about this race all night.
Yes.
I first want to begin with, how do you think Bernie Moreno was able to bring home that win, that nomination for Republican candidate tonight?
Yes, you know, he's been on the airwaves. He's had a lot of money in this campaign. Him and Dolan significantly outspent Frank LaRose. And so he's been having his message out there for quite some time. But the real kicker was that President Trump decided to endorse him, that J.D. Vance, our current junior senator out of Ohio, has been a champion for him, you know, really from the start. So I think those endorsements really mattered. I was looking at some of the results. Matt Dolan won in Cuyahoga County. That might be it. And then, you know, did better in some of the suburban counties. And kind of an interesting tidbit, it looks like Frank LaRose did best right along the West Virginia border. And that's where you don't have the same ads coming in. And so Moreno and Dolan were all over the airwaves. And so that's the one area where LaRose was a little more competitive, but he came, you know, kind of a distant third to the two candidates.
Yeah, it's interesting when you take a look kind of at the map, the results coming in.
Yes.
Now with Moreno obviously being the Republican nominee, how does this sort of shape the future of the Senate race? You heard it already.
Yes.
Both of them are already, they're already talking.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, Moreno, at least to win this primary, has been quite conservative. It'll be interesting to see, does he walk anything back, or does he think he can, you know, double down and kind of keep that message into November in a state that is becoming more Republican? That's clearly evidenced in the last several elections. And, you know, Sherrod Brown at the same time, he is an incumbent. He's been in office for a long time. That does build you a lot of name recognition. It just builds you maybe people who are just loyal to you because you helped them with the passport years ago or something along those lines. And so, you know, he'll try to play that up. And I think both will probably be on the trail all the time. We'll probably have plenty of opportunities to see rallies here in Dayton.
I mean, it sounds as if they're just already rallying tonight after the results were really in. Senator Sherrod Brown sending his own statement talking about Moreno and the upcoming Senate race. Now, this is likely to be one of the most watched
Yes.
Senate races across the nation. What is really at stake when it comes to this come November?
When, and Moreno really hit on it where he said, if we win, we'll get back the chamber and we'll get our country on the right track, right? He understands that it is pretty hard to draw a map where the Democrats can hold the majority if Sherrod Brown loses.
Right.
And so it's that simple race. There's only 100 Senate seats. There's only 33 or 34 that go up in any 2 years. And so for that reason, it just so happens that all eyes will be on Ohio, at least for control of the Senate.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next couple months. We'll definitely have to see how the two of them continue to sort of duke it out, really, until come November, when once it's really truly finalized. Dr. Lee Hanna, thank you so much for being here live with us.
Thanks for having me.
Since around 9 o'clock tonight, we appreciate it. So we're also watching several key issues, levies, and local races closely tonight as well. We want to send things out to Gwyneth Falloon, who's live tonight from the Montgomery County Board of Elections. Gwen.
Elise, the big issue for the city of Dayton tonight is issue 6. This is the renewal of what was once issue 9 and will fund things like police, fire, and housing. Tonight, voters passed the issue, which Dayton Mayor Jeffrey Mims says is a major relief.
The aspect of having this pass shows us that we're moving in the right direction because of so much of the work that has been done in the past. When this passed 8 years ago, with issue 9 time again in 2016, it gave us a foundation that let the outside investors know that we were serious about trying to improve Dayton and moving Dayton again in the right direction.
Now, I've also been monitoring the race for the State House in District 38. This is parts of Dayton, Riverside, and Huber Heights. This is also currently Willis Blackshear's seat, but he is running for the state Senate, opening up a seat for Desiree Timms, who won over Derek Forward. Speaking of Blackshear, though, again, he is up for the Ohio Senate in District 6, which is Dayton, Kettering, and Miamisburg. There were 3 Democratic candidates on the ballot, but it's Willis Blackshear who will now face Republican Charlotte McGuire in the fall. Finally, in the 10th Congressional District, there are 4 Democrats up for the nomination, but it was Amy Cox who came out on top tonight. She will now face Republican Mike Turner in the November general election. If you'd like to hear from some of those nominees, there is a web story on our website, Dayton247now.com. Back to you.
The numbers also rolling in tonight for the Montgomery County Commission races. We know 2 seats are available and will be decided in November. However, this is the first step to seeing who will face off against each other then. Jenna Lee Bork live for us tonight, following this race very closely, really for the past several weeks you've been following this race. So Jenna Lee, what is it looking like?
Yeah, Elise, well, right now the Republican primary is a closer race than the Democratic one. Republican Kate Baker, who's a Huber Heights councilwoman, is ahead of former DPD officer Jordan Wortham with 58% of the vote. That's early voting, absentee, and 244 of the precincts in so far. I spoke to Baker earlier about why it was important for her to run.
I love to be in service of others, and I believe I lead with a servant's heart. You listen and learn, and if I can make a difference in someone else's life, in some other community, I know what I've done for Huber, and I have a lot of energy, and I think I could really do a good job at the county level.
Now, on the Democratic side, it looks like incumbent Judy Dodge will defeat Yusuf El-Zain with 76% of the vote. I asked Dodge if these numbers hold, what does that say about the work she's done so far? She sent me a statement saying, quote, I think it shows how hard the county has worked to help our citizens find good jobs, affordable housing, and decent costs of living. Now, once the winner of the Democratic race and the Republican race are confirmed, those 2 will go against each other in November for 1 seat. Then Republican candidate Mary McDonald will go against Democratic candidate Deborah Lieberman, who right now is the commission's president. They will go against each other in November for that 2nd seat. Back to you.
Several Miami Valley school districts had levies on the ballot as well. Tonight, Lydia Bice focusing on Centerville and Tipp City. They really had a lot at stake tonight, Lydia. So what exactly were they asking voters to approve?
That's right. Centerville had a 3.9 mil operating levy on the ballot today that would have generated $11.2 million for the district. Now, if approved, funds from that levy will help the district maintain their current educational programs, but also upgrade other services. Tonight, I caught up with Superintendent John Westney, who shared more about potential upgrades to both mental health and safety resources.
Might be as simple as adding additional guidance counselors or just counseling staff in our buildings to the point where we could even look at additional school resource officers.
Now, if it's not approved, staff here in the district could see some cuts. So there 42% of votes are in, and 53% voted against the levy, and 47% voted in favor. Now, in Tip City, there was an $87 million bond levy on the ballot, and that was for a brand new pre-K through 8 school building.
So is that being wise with taxpayer money in that regard? So I think looking long-term, this is a long-term fix to take care of all our kids from grades K through 12.
So 46% of votes are in there, and 52% voted against the levy, and 48% voted for. Back to you.
Another race we are closely watching tonight, and we now know the Clark County Sheriff race. Take a look at this right here. The incumbent, Deborah Burchett, has lost to the newcomer, Christopher Clark, 60% to 40%. That's with 100% of the precincts reporting tonight. And despite most candidates dropping out, there are still multiple candidates for the presidential primary races. Both President Biden and former President Trump won their primaries here in Ohio tonight. Now, both candidates had already secured enough delegates for their party's nominations. As more results continue to come in, you can find them on our website, Dayton247now.com. Just click on the election results heading in the news tab at the top of your page.
Well, the windy one today. Spring officially here too. About 5 minutes ago, 11:06 p.m. spring officially started, but it was a windy one, not quite spring-like over these next couple of days at least. Here's a look at those peak wind gusts: 45-mile-per-hour wind gust in Miamisburg, 43-mile-per-hour wind gust earlier today in Dayton. Wapakoneta almost up to 50 miles per hour, so some pretty strong winds just under wind advisory criteria. Current wind gusts not quite as bad, just 50 mile per hour in Springboro currently. And it is chilly. We're in the 40s. We got 46 in Dayton, 45 Greenville, 43 in Wapakoneta. For kids heading to school tomorrow, going to be a little chillier, still breezy, not quite as windy, but still breezy. Highs will be in the mid 40s tomorrow afternoon. I'll let you know when we could see some 60s return to the area coming up.
Students will be returning back to the classroom after last week's devastating tornado after the break. What that first day back is expected to look like as a local school prepares to reopen.
Plus, I'll let you know about our cold front making its way through and when we'll warm back up. That's coming up. Here's a live look from our EcoPlumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. Well, spring has officially started for us. Thankfully, we don't have any spring-like thunderstorms in the forecast, but we do have a tornado drill for tomorrow, so don't be alarmed. There is a statewide tornado drill. Sirens, expect them to go off 9:50 a.m. tomorrow across the state for this drill. But again, we don't have any severe weather in the forecast. It will be a little bit breezy tomorrow, but overall we're planning on some sunshine and pretty chilly weather as well. Satellite and radar showing mostly clear skies out there right now. We do have a cold front just off to our north that is making its way in. This is going to stream some clouds into the region. Otherwise, 30s tomorrow morning. We got 40s tomorrow afternoon. Still a little breezy. Thursday, we got clouds building in. Cold start on Thursday, only in the 20s. And then Thursday afternoon, lower 40s. It's going to be a pretty winter-like day, but I do have rain back in the forecast as we head into our Friday with temperatures that'll be back into the 50s.
Continuing coverage of last week's deadly tornadoes. After an EF3 tornado tore through Logan County, killing 3 people, the Indian Lake area is still picking up the pieces tonight and really trying to start that path to recovery. Students will be going back to school tomorrow for the first time. As Carly Van Cleve shows us, though, that process won't be easy.
It will admittedly be a long road to recovery for families here in Logan County. Homes and businesses ripped apart by a devastating tornado. Property may be battered, but the spirit of those here still intact.
Overwhelmingly, folks are ready to get back to normal.
At Indian Lakes High School, administrators transitioning the building from a donation center back to a place of learning. Kids set to be in class on Wednesday.
We're going to have a team of counselors on hand tomorrow and throughout the remainder of the week.
Superintendent Rob Underwood working to bring some sense of normalcy back for students and staff.
I think we, again, have a really good plan in place. We're going to go on a 2-hour delay just so our buses have daylight because there are still some road closures around the area.
Underwood says some of their students lost everything. One student recovering from serious injuries.
Yeah, well, we know for sure that we had one high school student who had some pretty significant injuries to her legs. She's had some surgeries and we are told that she could get out of the hospital tomorrow.
The aim for his team is to lend a hand in any way they can.
I know that our parents are dealing with a lot of things like, insurance companies and really just stable housing, in the immediate future. So if we can take the burden of, taking care of their children during the day, I think that would be very helpful for them.
Now, and as Logan County, the community gets back on its feet, today's primary election, though, showing another sign of life getting back to usual. The high school served as a polling place for Ohio primary voters.
We're here to help our neighbor. It doesn't matter what you vote. We're going to help each other out, and we're going to make sure that we get through this.
Now, voters said that they appreciated the chance to do something ordinary in the midst of a week that has been anything but peaceful. And of course, if you'd like to help, Dayton 24/7 Now teaming up with the American Red Cross and iHeartRadio to help those impacted by last week's tornadoes. To lend a hand, scan the QR code on your screen to support the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. You can also find the link on our website, Dayton247now.com.
Well, it was a windy one today. We had some gusts up to about 45, close to 50 miles per hour for some areas. Not quite as breezy, but still breezy tomorrow. We'll have some gusts up to 25, 30 miles per hour, and it will be chilly, so it's going to be a pretty winter-like day. Thankfully, we'll still have some sunshine around. Our winds do calm as we head into our Thursday, but it will still be chilly for our Thursday, too, before we warm back up into the 50s on Friday. That's with rain. Sunday back into the 50s as well. In fact, Sunday's looking pretty nice before we do rebound back into the 60s by next week. We do have some milder weather as well as some rain back in the forecast too, so I'll time it out for you coming up with our 7-day in just a bit.
The Dayton community remembering the 9 victims of the 2019 Oregon district shooting. How a local university is making sure everyone can place a piece of healing after the break. You're watching Dayton 24/7 Now. Faculty and staff and students at the University of Dayton placing tiles at the permanent memorial honoring the victims of the 2019 Oregon District mass shooting. Community members laid mosaic titles to the Seed of Life art installation. Each piece represents the community coming together to heal piece by piece.
And that's all I want. I just want everybody to be a part of it. You know, it's not about me, it's not about my father, it's about, you know, a community, but also, you know, just honoring those that we all have lost being impacted by gun violence. So for my child's child, it's always going to be a place where you can come to and say, hey, I laid that piece there.
Now, the permanent memorial will be installed in the Oregon District this August to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the tragic shooting. Well, nearly 2/3 of 4th graders in the U.S. are struggling to read at grade level. That's why Dayton 24/7 Now is partnering with Reading is Fundamental and our parent company, Sinclair Broadcast Group for Sinclair Cares, supporting children's literacy. Scan the QR code you see there to donate to our virtual book drive.
Round, please. And the first day of the first 4 of the NCAA tournament at University of Dayton Arena, how the games have been going so far in Montgomery County.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 Now.